WorldNetDaily is live. We are back here. It is Monday, September 30th, 2024, and there is a flood of incompetence out of the White House and across this country. But folks, the devastation that is happening right now on the East Coast is extraordinary. We're going to go over some of the footage that's coming out of there and some of the news and the lack of response from this White House is tremendously astounding. And so we're going to get into that, of course, and then moving on to the Ukraine and other things that are going on in the world and what to expect as we have less than 40 days. Josh, let's bring Josh in here. Josh, what's the ticker? Are we at 37,
actually
36?
I don't even know.
I know it just keeps going, but we'll get on that.
37, I'm being told, Matt.
Okay, 37. Excellent.
Yeah.
I'm writing that here at the top of the page. 37 days.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm not ready for this. I don't have enough water and food prepared. I'm not sure. We're seeing the test of what happens when the internet goes out. That's happening everywhere. We'll cover that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, these they're rolling out the Starlinks out there in North Carolina and stuff. Right?
I kind of feel like I need one, because you always have the internet when you need it. And as we see, the government's not going to help you.
I know it's gonna is Elon really gonna save this world between free speech on the internet, between getting us connected, and then getting us the hell out of here and going to Mars, right?
If the guy starts heading to rebuild the temple in Israel, I'm out of here, dude.
It can't be him. Don't tell me it's Elon. Don't tell me it's
Is he
Elon.
From Rome? I don't know.
Oh man, he's from South Africa. I thought, isn't he South African? He's African American.
The opposite of Rome. Yes,
the opposite of Rome. Right. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm glad we could chuckle a little bit because the devastation that's going on as we watch these residents across the. There's actually something that broke. We have an article up here at WorldNetDaily. Residents evacuating these smoke billows. Is this in Georgia? I think there's a biolab on fire.
Yeah.
What is this about, Josh?
Nobody knows yet, Matt. I mean, it's a biolab. Don't breathe the smoke. But oopsie, a biolab's on fire. Just, add that to the list of, I don't know, the #1 beef processing plant in the country, the #1 pork processing plant in the country. Don't worry, everybody. I'm sure that Bill Gates has a plan for us, and it'll probably involve some injections.
Oh my goodness! Don't. Well, we got a clip from him later. Well,
yeah, we do.
Teasing up for sure. But that being said, let's look at some of this footage out of North Carolina and the East Coast there. I guess we have a few clips here back to back we could probably show just to see what's going on. Yeah, I mean this is incredible, Josh.
Yeah, the devastation. I thought this was like, this looks like a flood in Asia you would see in Southeast Asia or something.
Yeah, and this is like a Thailand road right here.
Yeah, this looks like, the aftermath of an earthquake, which is just, I mean, what the heck? The river was the road? I'm actually curious about this, but this area is a bit remote, and even though it's not that far outside of Charlotte, but these people are stuck here, and they're still waiting on help from the government, and it doesn't look like it's coming quickly. So, these people need prayer, and we're watching this, but there's all kinds of videos coming out on X of people from the region trying to get messages out that there is no help for them. This is like I mean, look at this.
Yeah.
At first, I thought this looked like volcano footage or something. Again, in Asia.
Right.
Poor Mose.
And, I mean, this, of course, reminds me of Hurricane Katrina and the devastation we saw there. But with Hurricane Katrina, I don't recall. There was flooding, right? Because there was a surge that came in. But this was so far inland that the mountainous of everything just really created these rivers of devastation. Yeah,
it's insane. And of course, I mean, the big story, we have disasters in the country all the time. But the real story is, where's the help? And bizarrely, there's like talk of people being told not to go in and help or being turned away. And, we're not really sure what that's all about, other than our whole government's out to lunch, or, they're worried about equity and diversity and
Well, normally we would see FEMA on the airwaves,
Right.
You know, a 24/7 cycle of what's going on, people offloading water and all this stuff. But yeah, I
Yeah.
mean there has been at least reports of at least 95 dead as we were preparing this show. It might be going up, hopefully not. But here was the track of that storm. And I'm no weather expert or anything, but when you have something hitting that hard along the coast, and then it has this dramatic effect so far inland.
Yeah, that was unexpected. We always see like coastal shots of like boats, grounded on the land and everything, but this was just like in some valley in North Carolina. Pretty sad.
Yeah, so we're going to continue to follow that story because Trump said he was going to head out there. He's in Valdosta, Georgia today. We've got a clip here explaining that. Let's watch this. So, I don't know if was he supposed to have a rally there, or is he there to try and like help coordinate some sort of relief effort?
Yeah, I don't actually know what's associated with that clip. I think he's trying to get as close as he can to talk to the folks. Also notice that he's on a smaller aircraft there, and obviously it's probably hard to get in there with his Trump Force One.
Right.
Maybe
right.
that'll be good too, because it'll be harder to shoot that plane down if he's changing planes often enough.
Yeah, and what's interesting too, of course, is like, and we're starting to see this more and more, how Trump really just, when something happens like this, or there is an escalation in like, foreign affairs or something, like Trump immediately seizes the day and says, and gets into action and acts extremely presidential because he knows, especially these folks are looking for some sort of leadership. And when you have Kamala Harris out there, she's the current vice president
doing God knows what.
Yeah, doing God knows what, and then Joe Biden, he has a very tight window, maybe 3 to 3:30, where he's pretty primed and ready to go. Between naps. It's really sad to see that happening, but Trump is the one that's going to be showing up here and doing this. Here's this tweet here. Military friends who live in North Carolina say they are appalled by the lack of response to Hurricane Helene from Governor Roy Cooper and the Biden-Harris administration. They say that they believe politics are the reason it's happening, since a lot of the impacted areas are Republican. And you'd hate to politicize a storm like this and a response like this, but we've seen this time and again, especially when tornadoes hit along the Bible Belt there and everything, that there does tend to be sort of a lack of interest from the media to covering these sort of stories and getting involvement from the government. So it's really frustrating to see this. And you'd think, I don't want to attach any sort of malice to that, but you just want to hope that people get their senses together and can rally together. And I know that that's what those people in those towns are going to be doing. They support each other, and they're going to be out there. And so, folks, if you are interested in finding, seek out some disaster relief efforts and donate money, donate your time. If you're in the area, please try and do what you can, and of course, pray.
Yeah, they need prayer. And it's a good lesson, even though it may be. We may see FEMA try to get in there in the next few days. You're on your own, folks. I mean, you shouldn't think you are not. We should all be as prepared as we can be, especially sorry for the doomer warning, but as we near maybe the craziest moment in American history to date, the coming election. So.
Yeah, and there's some other clips of other people issuing these same warnings, so it's not without precedent, Josh.
Yeah, it's not unique to us, that's for sure.
And now, the appalling thing here, though, when you do in contrast to what's going on in Ukraine, we have a side-by-side clip here of Joe Biden and his response to what's going on in Ukraine and his response to what just happened in North Carolina. Let's watch this.
Yeah.
I'm proud to announce a new $2.4 billion package of security assistance. We've given them everything we have. We're on the ground ahead of time, so we're working hard. Thank you.
Any more resources the federal government could be giving them?
No, we've given them, we have pre-planned a significant amount of it, even though they didn't ask for it yet.
What they pre-planned a certain amount that they didn't even ask for? Like they should be grateful, Josh? I mean,
Listen, Matt, there's things to think about, like Ukraine, for instance. They need more money and they're running out of manpower. We'll help them with that later too, by the way, folks. You know, if Americans are truly patriotic, they'll want their children to go to Ukraine and maybe the Middle East to fight as well.
That's absurd. That's absolutely absurd to sit here and say, oh, we're, $2.4 billion to Ukraine.
Yeah.
And then, but our own country, once again, our own country is just left aside. I can't, it's the level of the level at which they do it so overtly. It's almost as if someone is telling them to just, can you please just do it more overtly so that everybody can wake up in this country and find out that these people are absolutely destroying our country, as has history told us. It always happens from within, and these people are absolutely doing that right now.
Yes, they are.
Oh, geez, it's appalling. There's a lot of prayer. I don't know if there's enough hours in the day to pray, but we got to keep doing that.
It's a long list these days.
It is, and then the thought that Kamala Harris might be the one that's in charge coming up is magnified. The fright factor is magnified when somebody on the internet here mashed together Kamala Harris and footage of this current crisis in the East Coast here. Let's watch this and just let it soak in. Let it sink in, as they say. Watch this.
It is our lowest income communities and our communities of color that are most impacted by these extreme conditions and impacted by issues that are not of their own making. And so absolutely. And so we have to address this in a way that is about giving resources based on equity, understanding that we fight for equality, but we also need to fight for equity, understanding not everyone starts out at the same place. And if we want people to be in an equal place, sometimes we have to take into account those disparities and do that work.
Oh yes, applaud. The Marxists applaud. I mean, that was a I don't know whoever mashed those two together, but that was a brilliant juxtaposition.
Yeah, because maybe that's exactly what's going on. Because, we're going to give our resources to the special places that it's needed. None of those things, none of those boxes, except for there's probably, 50% women in that poor town, add up to that, what they would normally want. Right. So, sorry, this is a white working class town. You might have to wait on the assistance. That's going to go somewhere else to level the playing field.
Yeah. And then once again, just seeing the footage, that heart-wrenching footage, I think back again to Hurricane Katrina.
Yeah.
I mean, it was on that's all we could do. I remember I was bartending back then, and it was like every TV screen had it on there. Everybody was just glued to what's going on, and everybody was taking up donations and trying to rally around everything. And I don't see that. I don't see that level of interest right now. And this is a huge thing. So we're going to continue to watch this story, folks. And I ask you to continue to keep praying and seek out your a disaster relief center that you can help contribute to. I'm not going to promote any particular ones because I have no idea. It's better the closer you can get to the boots on the ground, the better. Just donating to some NGO that's worldwide is not going to do it in this situation. So. Okay, well then, speaking of Ukraine, though, David Sachs, we've played a bunch of his clips on this show before. Familiarize everybody with David Sachs, and then we can jump into this, Josh.
So David Sachs is a unique individual because he is a conservative. He's very wealthy as well. I'm not sure if he's a billionaire, but he's a conservative in Silicon Valley, and those are so rare. He's one of the early investors with Peter Thiel in Facebook. And somehow he's still a sane individual. And he has a podcast called the All In Podcast. And it's made major news in the last few weeks. And I recommend you guys go watch that if you can. He has really important thinkers on that show. They even had JD Vance, who did a fantastic job. But Sachs has been the voice of reason on Ukraine. And you remember, like, if you were in San Francisco or Silicon Valley, there's a monoculture of like everyone does what everyone thinks you should do. And of course, this is informed by creeps like Bill Gates, to some degree Mark Zuckerberg, although he's moving a little bit toward the right, maybe just so he's not in trouble if Trump gets elected. But Sachs has been saying, beating this drum, Ukraine is a terrible idea. It was a created disaster. And we'll play the clips and let him speak in his own words here.
And then meanwhile, in terms of the war in Ukraine, I mean, I've been warning about this for 2.5 years, how dangerous the situation was. And that's why we should have availed ourselves of every diplomatic opportunity to make peace. And we now know, because there's been such universal reporting, that in Istanbul, in the first month of the Ukraine war, there was an opportunity to make a deal with Russia where Ukraine would get all of its territory back. It's just that Ukraine would have to agree not to be part of NATO, would have to agree to be neutral and not part of the Western military bloc that was so threatening to Russia. The Biden administration refused to make that deal. They sent in Boris Johnson to scuttle it. They threw cold water on it. They blocked it. They told Zelensky, we'll give you all the weapons you need to fight Russia. Zelensky believed in that. It has not worked out that way. Ukraine is getting destroyed. It's very hard to get honest reporting on this from the mainstream media, but the sources I've read.
Yeah, that's what's really devastating here is like the media is not, you want a fair and balanced media here. I mean, it's not as if, I mean, what am I going to say if I get in trouble? It's not like the Putin and Russia, the entire Russia is like, the center of the devil. Like they are the most evil thing ever. They're the source of all evil, and there's no peace to be had with them. It's just simply not true. It's just simply not true.
Matt, the real evil, and this, I don't know why this is ignored. It's very strange. The real evil is the number of dead. There's likely 500,000 dead Ukrainians. So now the Ukrainians had a draft and they would do what are called press gangs. There's some of these videos online you can see where guys roll up in a van and grab kids, if you look like you're at least 16, off the street, grown men. But now they have had so much death that they have extended the draft age to 60-year-olds. So there's some footage. I'll try to find this that just came out this past week of Ukrainian soldiers surviving a giant bombardment by Russians. And the survivors are old men, and they're in soldiers' uniforms. So we are sitting here ignoring the fact that an entire generation has been wiped out in Ukraine, and the Russians may have lost several 100,000 men themselves. But Ukraine will be destroyed forever. And Sachs is saying, hey, this is all avoidable through negotiation that America shut down through the proxy of Boris Johnson. Right.
Yeah, that's an extraordinary admission or extraordinary revelation there. And to put those pieces together. And you hit the nail on the head there. And I keep going back to that debate question. Or I don't know if it was a town hall question. It was something that Trump was asked earlier this year, where he said, who do you want to win in the Ukraine and Russia war? He was asked, who do you want to win? And he simply said, I just want people to stop dying. I just want the dying to stop. And I'm at that point as well. Like, I just want everybody, I mean, those numbers are incredible. And you just think like how sad it is. Yet we have this footage of, and I know I'm jumping ahead here, yet we have this footage of the Democrat of Pennsylvania signing a bomb.
This is
signing like a love letter on a bomb. And it was like, how?
It's Josh Shapiro.
Josh Shapiro signing bombs. Like, let's see. Do we have that clip? Let's jump ahead. I mean, this is remarkable. I never thought I would see like, a Democrat governor.
Yeah, this is gross, is what it is. I mean, those are mortar or howitzer shells, and those only do one thing. Those kill people.
Yeah, exactly. It's terrible. Well, David Sachs again was continuing with David Freeberg on that podcast, and painting a very frightening picture.
Yeah.
Let's listen to this.
If a President Biden who is basically senile or a President Harris agree to one of these Zelensky requests, we could very easily find ourselves in a direct war with the Russians.
The waltz into World War III is what it should be called.
And the reason why this could happen is because we don't have a fair media that's fairly reported anything about this war.
Okay, so I was quoting casualty rates, right?
Yeah.
These are estimates because it is intentionally hidden, and the media is the blindest of anyone. They just don't want to know.
Yeah.
And they don't want to know because the truth of the American people are by and large good folks, and you wouldn't want to know that like people have lost generations now, son, father, grandfather, they're gone. And where this goes is we have to keep escalating through technology, Matt, because first it was, we'll put all these guys on the ground and we'll give them some garbage tanks or something, right? We'll give them shoulder fired rockets. Okay, cool. Well, you got to be within range, and now they can't get in range. So now we need to give them larger missile systems and then fighter jets. Well, this is all stuff we would never agree to. We would never agree for Mexico to have rockets that can hit Dallas, Texas on their border. We wouldn't allow it.
Yeah, I mean, we had Russians putting missiles in Cuba, and we were on the brink of World War III. This feels like very similar. It feels very similar. And the same scenario was happening in Poland. Russia was getting very upset when Poland started happening. Because they're already part of NATO, right?
Yeah.
Poland is. So having missiles and having long range missiles and nukes, perhaps in at least tactical nukes inside Poland, is very threatening to Russia.
So,
yeah,
Matt, I want folks listening. Okay, so like one thing, we will not have the excuse to say we didn't know. We won't have that. While the mainstream media doesn't cover it, we're gonna talk about it constantly. We all know where this is headed, and we should not be surprised. And we're busy living our lives, so we're maybe not as directly outraged because, like the American eagle flies, and we love our military and all that stuff. But like, they are setting us up for something that we're gonna not have control of backing out. It'll be too late.
Yeah.
And this is why this election becomes so critical. But sorry, my diverting there.
Yeah, no. But
doomerism.
Yeah, but I have a question for you, because when we think about World War III, it's always as an average day American, the thought is that we wouldn't start it, right? We're not the one that's going to launch an attack on a country and start World War III. That's not what we are. And so you think, well, then what is Russia worried about? Why couldn't we just put our missiles along the border? What are they worried about? We're not going to attack them, just unilaterally attack them with no provocation, or it's only there as a defensive measure. And then you think, and then I know that there are people thinking that, well, Russia is probably thinking the same thing. We're not going to attack the world, right? But that's not what we're made to believe. We're made to believe, no, Russia will attack the world. Russia wants to dominate the world. Russia wants to take over. And a part of me thinks, well, okay, the communist regime, I don't know who we had on before, but we were talking about that, how communism didn't, the fall of communism in Russia didn't just fall and all of a sudden everybody was hunky-dory, free enterprise capitalists.
Right.
It was a shift. It was a shift in tactics. And obviously China's communism and a lot of these other little nations that surround it operate under the same way, or operate under the thumb of China and Russia. And so there is this cat and mouse game that the Russians could say, well, you are the ones that did bomb people in World War II, right, to end a war and all this. So when you look at you look at it in context of our entire world history, it makes sense for Russians, the Russian people, to kind of feel like they're caught in the middle. That Ukraine is caught in the middle. That we're caught in the middle. I mean, I don't know how to get out of this other than, of course, praying about it and trying to make sure that you're prepared for whatever happens, because it's going to happen, right? It's going to happen.
It does look like we're heading for that. That's hard for a lot of people to even imagine because we're in this really amazing sweet spot of history, or we have been up to this moment where, a lot of us didn't experience war directly other than through people we know that were in like the desert wars or even some Vietnam vets, and most of the World War II vets are gone now. So, it just might be our turn generationally to experience this. The bad thing is that it's World War III, which we really can't imagine that we would all be mobilized toward that. But
yeah,
and it's very possible.
And the only people who seem to be very outspoken about finding peace, not being a victor. See, when I hear Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, they talk about winning the war. They talk about defeating Russia and winning the war. And then you have Trump here talking about peace. Let's watch this clip here.
Yeah.
I mean, Trump is on the campaign trail making, I think, very valid points about this war, that the Ukrainian cause is doomed and that we should be seeking a peace deal and a settlement before this can spiral into World War III. That is fundamentally correct. But the media portrays that as being pro-Russian and pro-Putin. And if you say that you want peace, you are basically on the take from Putin and Russia. That is what the media has told the American public for 3 years.
That's incredible. That you want peace, so that means you're pro-Russia?
Yeah. I want peace, by the way. So whatever that means.
Yeah.
I want peace.
I mean, that's what we all pray for, world peace. There, John Lennon, this is absolutely ridiculous. Now it makes perfect sense why you have these classical Democrats like Kennedy. You have classical Democrats like Tulsi Gabbard, these anti-war Democrats who are teaming up with an anti-war Republican candidate and former president, Donald Trump. And it's a populist movement, and populism is for peace. Populists, a populist movement is based on peace because the popular thing is to live. It's to live peacefully.
I'm pretty good with that. Yeah. I'd like to live. It'd be cool if my kids don't go to Ukraine too. That'd be awesome.
That'd be good. Can you imagine? I mean, can you imagine?
No, I really can, Matt. So like we'll cover this in coming episodes, but the United States military people are not aware of this. They've done all the necessary steps to get the draft ready to go. And people think that that's crazy. No, it's not crazy. In history, we've had a draft 3 times in just the last 100 years. So it's likely to happen again.
It's definitely not beyond. I pray it doesn't. Here's it right here. Ukraine will win this war, and I don't know how they win. I mean, what is winning for Ukraine? Is it because like that one of those clips said, I mean, the idea that Ukraine can keep their territory, right, and find a peace deal, and Russia, I mean, everything could just kind of go back to what it was before, and then Boris Johnson screws it all up. I mean, and then you factor in the military-industrial complex. You factor in the fact that Ukraine feels like a money laundering operation. I mean, there's so many complex factors in there. Trump himself said it was complex. Let's jump up to clip 5. Trump vows to end the war here. When he was speaking next to he was next to Zelensky when they had met.
President said it the best. This is a war that should have never happened. It should have never happened, and it wouldn't have happened. It's a shame, but this is a war that should have never happened, and we'll get it solved. It's a complicated puzzle, very complicated puzzle, but we'll get it solved.
I think those are very key words. It's a very complicated puzzle. Was it complicated when Germany invaded France? No, they invaded France, right? I mean, was that complicated? Was it complicated when Vietnam split and you had the communist faction in China? I mean, there's a lot here. There's a lot of complications here.
It's gotten really complicated now that Americans are literally on the ground in advisory roles, but also that now NATO is, so they're concocting some way to get NATO involved, and so they're making it more complicated daily. I am hopeful that if Trump was elected, that he would make a deal. But that deal, this is the problem we're in, Matt. That deal is 4 years. It's going to be 4 years long, depending on who the next president after Trump is. And this Ukraine thing's, we can kind of get into this later, but this Ukraine thing's been going for a long time. It was in 2014 that the US government was behind the coup to replace the leader there. So they're not going to give up. The globalists don't like Vladimir Putin because he is resistant to kind of the way they want to run things. They're going to do everything they can to bring Russia to heel. And it may conveniently, involve a lot of, military age males are going to probably do the most of that fighting, which is sad.
Yeah, absolutely. So, on this
upbeat moment.
This upbeat moment is, I was going to say, it's like, you kind of want to have something hopeful to go out in, but I think, again, with 37 days left till the election day, General Michael Flynn, Trump's former NSA advisor in the White House during his first term, who ceremoniously was kicked out under extremely strange circumstances in the beginning of his first term. He was on the Alex Jones show, and he had this warning to say.
We are in a period where we're going to see such a level of desperation in these next 37 days, and I want people to understand that what you think you have been through already, the last 8 years, what we are about to experience in these next couple of weeks, this next month plus, I think that it's going to blow the minds of people. I mean, I think we're going to see some things that we have not experienced as a nation. And as you said earlier, I actually feel very blessed to be alive right now because, I have studied our country. I have studied our founders. I've studied the wars that we have been in. And I look at things and I say, God, we're in the lead here. We have the momentum on our side. We have the mass of people on our side. We have the majority on our side. All we have to do is.
Yeah, and that's true. That's that populist mentality, right? Like, we have it on our side. He goes on to talk about how there's the war that's happening. It's happening right now, and it's emotional, it's mental, it may get worse. But folks, we got to be prepared. We got to be prepared. Josh, are you prepared?
Yeah, not enough ever really, Matt, but I will be. I think I want to take this flood scenario as a advisory to folks, be prepared for what's going to happen in the next few days. Cell tower outage is happening everywhere. We'll cover that. You should be prepared to have food and water. This is all possible in the next few days.
Right. This happened over the weekend, right? Massive nationwide Verizon outage affecting possibly millions of customers. And we threw out the warning. What if this happens on election day, November 5th? There was a map that showed outages all across the United States. And I know some people,
here it is.
I know some people in my area that were like, "Hey, my phone's out. What can I do?" So, that's a pretty extensive map there.
That could be what they call a test run.
A test run, yeah. Well, and then when we talk about disruptions, we learned today that at midnight tonight, the dock workers over there on the East Coast, maybe the West Coast as well, they're going to be going on strike. We have a clip here that explains what's going on there, folks. If you're following that.
Strike for union workers at major shipping ports along the East Coast. Thousands are set to hit the picket line this Tuesday. The International Longshoremen's Association ordering a strike after talks demanding fairer wages hit a standstill. News Nation's Caitlin Becker joins us live from Port Elizabeth, New Jersey. Caitlin, what are we learning here? Major developments since the last time we spoke.
Yeah, truly, Jesse. I was not expecting to hear this today. We're 36 hours before the deadline, and the ILA sent out a communication announcing that they're absolutely going to strike. They're going to walk off the.
Yeah, those are the dock workers, the longshoremen, and I remember we went through this a while ago.
Yeah.
And that was a bitter pill to take. But again, this happening 37 days before the election. And this is a team. These are Teamsters. And when you fold in the fact that the Teamsters union didn't endorse the Harris Walz campaign, and that most of their members are Trump supporters, you kind of wonder the timing is interesting, even though it is contract, and we knew that this date was coming up. It always seems to happen around election time, but this is very, very fascinating.
Yeah, it's not great, honestly. Hopefully it won't mean much and they'll get their contract done quickly. But yeah, I mean, maybe the takeaway here is that like things are they're not as robust as we think. You know what I mean? Like, there's like that line from the movie, like your world can change in a moment. It can happen. So, continuing my dire warning, but we should, because Matt, there's these bizarre movie-like villain characters running around like John Kerry, helping the World Economic Forum look like the villains from a Bond movie. And
they
we
really
got,
are.
Yeah.
They really are, Josh. I mean, that Klaus Schwab is like Blofeld. Like he's a version of Blofeld.
He's
like
going to say Spectre on accident one of these minutes, Matt.
Yeah.
He's going to Spectre has decided to do what's best for you. Okay,
yeah.
so
but he's more comical to me. He's more like from Get Smart. Am I aging myself here? Do you remember Get Smart?
Yeah. No, I do remember that.
Chaos.
Yeah, this Kerry clip's pretty interesting. Listen to this thing.
Yeah.
Look, if people go to only one source and the source they go to is sick and has an agenda and they're putting out disinformation, our First Amendment stands as a major block to the ability to be able to just, hammer it out of existence. So what we need is to win the ground, win the right to govern by hopefully having, winning enough votes that you're free to be able to implement change.
Hopefully.
Wow. Hopefully, yeah.
He didn't seem sure, but he knows that he wants to hammer free speech out of existence. He's very sure about that.
And who has one source for news? I know our viewers only go to WorldNetDaily, right? We only come to WorldNetDaily for one source of news, right? And
yeah,
but even on this show, we've played clips from all different sources. Like,
this is the idea of here. We'll introduce a new idea here to the audience if you haven't heard this. The managerial elite. That's what John Kerry is. He's part of the managerial elite, and their whole thing is like, you can only trust the experts, trust the science, only their selected science, by the way.
Right.
And this extends to speech and their control of speech. And they kind of want to do this workaround, right, Matt? They want to say like, there is the First Amendment, but it never intended for XYZ. And XYZ includes like, it includes things like misinformation, disinformation, trisinformation. All they're just making up these new words for things they don't like, but they pump it enough to say there's only one trusted narrative. This is like garbage out of the UK with the BBC, and even they have other outlets, but it's like the official government narrative, and it turns out it's never good for us and it's only good for them.
And they never cite their sources for saying that this was never meant to cover misinformation.
No,
like it is precisely what it is meant to cover is speech that is not popular. Speech that is not popular, speech that is not approved by the state. John Adams, when he became president, the second president, he wanted to have this Alien and Sedition Act where he could round up people for speaking out against the government. I mean, This is the guy that signed the Bill of Rights and the Constitution. It was all behind it.
It's always the threat of power. Powerful people always want to do what they need, and they realize all the time. They realize, oh, I guess if they get to say what they want, it stops me from doing what I want. Right. And of course, the dark female wizard herself is going to weigh in. We have a clip of that.
Yep.
What is something you see happening in the near future that we should be taking more seriously?
Well, I do think that the press needs a consistent. The press that's not supporting Trump blatantly, very persistently. The press that's trying to be the press, be objective, be, reporting the facts. The press needs a consistent narrative about the danger that Trump poses.
They haven't, Josh. What is she talking about? Like, she's just like, when are they going to kill him? Just kill him. I mean, that's what it sounds like to me.
Round them up and kill them. That's what she wants to say. She really wants to say that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, she said before, put them with it. Half of them got to be put into re-education camps. I mean, she is literally the dark witch.
Yeah, there's the saying like the mask is slipping. There's no mask anymore. She is trying to parse her language though as she goes there, Matt. But you can tell she just wants to scream, round them up, eliminate them, and she very carefully has to go back to the language. But this idea, maybe the craziest thing, is that we must be way far gone now, because that didn't alarm anyone for her to say there needs to be a consistent narrative in the press. It's paradoxical to what the press is supposed to do, meaning it's not possible for those things to both be true. But that's what they're calling for. And my guess is that is what they will get. We're almost completely there now, but my guess is that is what is coming. And how would they do that, Matt? They'll need some tools. And who else to give them those tools?
Bill Gates, right?
But old Bill Gates,
yeah,
Mr. Creepy himself.
Right. Yeah,
we have free speech, but if you're inciting violence, if you're causing people not to take vaccines, where are those boundaries that even the U.S. Should, have rules? And then if you have rules, what is it? Is there some AI that encodes those rules because you have billions of activity and, if you catch it a day later, the harm is done.
Oh man, he can't stand it. He wanted that AI. He wanted that total control. But with that, when we look at that, we go, oh, there's the Pandora's box. Like things pop out and AI is great, but it comes with these other risks, that people can like do this. I think when they're the ones creating it, they're like, and they think we can get total control, but there are risks that some people will still use it to remain free.
When did like taking any kind of vaccine become so critical to society?
Yes.
It's kind of like, it's like the only, it's like, hey, Bill Gates, how are you, man? Vaccines, like it's like the only thing you can go to right away. And it's super creepy. I remember right before COVID, there was this documentary came out called it was called like Bill Gates's brain. Okay. And apparently all it was full of is, he just constantly read books by himself because he wasn't going to have a wife soon. And he just drank Diet Coke. And it turned out all he was doing was thinking about how to push these narratives. And now he's like captain spokesman. So you got Klaus Schwab, right? He's like this, like, the dark, scientist. You got Bill, he's like kind of like an authority figure. And then you have Hillary as the high priestess. This is creepy, guys. This is like super creepy. And who just keeps getting more accurate as the day goes by? It's Alex Jones, because he said this in the beginning. You know what I mean? If these people turn out to be lizards, I'm just not going to be surprised.
I know at this point. Yeah, we're so desensitized at that point. You're going to be like, of course, of course it's that.
Yeah.
What was that? There was a great 80s miniseries called V.
Oh yeah, fantastic series. Yes,
they were lizard people.
They were alien lizard people.
Yeah,
that's right. So, I think we're not far off, Matt.
That's right, man. So yeah, over at WND.com, WorldNetDaily, brace for impact, folks. Brace for impact, because something big is coming. This article here just kind of covers sort of the economic standpoint, with a bunch of the billionaires and Warren Buffett and all this stuff making major moves along the stock market. And so folks, pay attention and get ready.
Yeah, the elites, they have this habit of moving their money right before something goes down. Warren Buffett, he's not like in the traditional club of the elites. He is like one of the richest billionaires in the world. But when he moves his money around, people pay attention, because it usually means, they're forecasting something that's coming. And that's kind of like what we want to leave everybody with on this one, right? Is, hey, obviously something's coming. Something's always coming. But now more than ever, we want you to be ready if you can be. Get your house in order. And Matt, that's where I would just say the other thing you want to do is subscribe and like to our Rumble channel.
That's right, baby. I was just about to say the same thing.
Okay, I know that, I can see the viewership on these videos. It's doing great. But people are not clicking subscribe. And some of them are clicking like and some are commenting. We really appreciate you if you're doing all three and if you're commenting. But man, we really need you to go to the Rumble channel. Who knows what's coming? I know, like, we get hits on the YouTube channel constantly, like, oh, you can't show that clip, or that's in the wrong context. That's not in approved context. So yeah,
AI is doing that, right?
AI is doing that, like, just like Bill Gates. I don't know what could happen.
That's right.
Maybe the AI will not let you talk. That's what they're saying. So yeah,
yep, that's exactly it.
And all the other channels, of course. Instagram's my new favorite channel of ours because it's hilarious, and it still gives you a concise idea of what's going on in the news. This is for some of our younger fans too. But it's great. It's got really quick stories. You want to know what's going on, you don't have time to watch our whole show, you really should find the time to watch our whole show because it's great, obviously, Matt. And then, of course, Telegram. We'd love you to go over there. Telegram, still going to find some of the craziest stuff that is always censored. We will not be censored on our Telegram channel until Bill Gates has his way. So, and then X, hey, we're really close to 70,000 on X. We'd love you to go over there, subscribe, and we're going to get that to 70, and then we'll be at a place where we're just going to be covering the news. It'll be your favorite place to see the breaking news because we work hard to cover it there.
Yeah, very good. And folks, I just want to say thank you for watching so diligently. I mean, I love seeing some of the repeat commenters that come in here and leave your comments. So that's really great. It really keeps us fired up, and it knows that we're engaging you. Here's one. Here's a regular viewer. Abolish
AI. Nice.
Abolish AI.
Nice, Estelle. Thank you.
Yes,
yeah,
very good.
It's a great point. Oh, Matt. Another thing, guys. Again, if you made it this far, thank you for watching. But hey, the vice presidential debate is tomorrow night. We will cover that live. You're going to get to see JD Vance, who I think he's going to stomp on Creeper Walls. That's what I'm just going to call him from now on.
Yeah.
And we'll be covering that live, and it'll be exciting, and we'll make as much fun of Walls as we can. I think we'll have a lot to work with.
Fantastic. Awesome. All right, guys. Well, thank you again for watching. We'll see you we'll see you then, and then the rest of the week as well. So thank you. God bless.
Thanks, Sue.